Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, concerts that made us, interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and the cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
Hey, this is Danny.
And this is Remo.
And we're from New Earth, and you are listening to Concerts That Made Us.
Danny and Remo, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
It's great to have you guys now. I'm looking forward to diving into your music. Now, first off, big news for you guys. Newark are supporting Caligula's horse in August in South Africa. Tell us all the details if you can.
Yes, that's very exciting. So on the 24th of August, we've got Caligula's Horse coming through. And yeah, it's kind of a dream come true for our band. Like we're big into the whole progressive rock and metal scene, and it's just going to be such a great experience.
I'd say so. I'd say so. How did you guys get the gig?
So we got a gig through Turning Tricks, the promoter for the event. We've worked with some of their partner bands and things throughout the years. And yeah, like they gave us a call and that's how it happened.
I like it. I like it. What can concert goers expect from your performance?
It's always high energy, chaos. It's lots of weird time signatures, jumping around from like slow, moody passages to high energy, like jumpy, like heavy rock.
Sounds like it's going to be a hell of a show. Now,
Yeah.
you guys, you've got a couple of weeks left before the gig. What does this time look like for the band? How are you spending it?
It's actually quite interesting. We've got one of our members is overseas. He's traveling for work. So it's actually kind of we're all prepping in our own sort of ways, getting ready together, before getting ready together. And then just the couple of weeks before the gig, like we're all going to come together and just rehearse as much as possible and just like really get things like organized and tight.
Right, right. Makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
What are you guys looking forward to most about the gig?
Well, to be honest, all gigs are really always really cool to look forward to. Obviously, if we can pull a bit of a bigger crowd, that would be nice. Always nice to spread our music to as many people as we possibly can. And I'm also looking forward to actually seeing Caligula's Horse. I've never seen them live before.
Yeah, am I right in saying this is their actual first time in South Africa?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty special, getting to play with them and then getting to actually see them.
Yeah, definitely.
So, you guys, you've been together since 2011. For any listeners that aren't familiar, what has the journey been like for you?
Well, we actually started the Danny and Matt and myself. We were in a band before New Earth called Newton's Third, and we, with a couple of issues here and there, we ended up forming what would be New Earth with just the three of us. And the whole objective being just kind of like a no holds barred approach to writing music. Whatever we feel is important is the way we play. Because I mean, at the end, music is such an emotional expression that we found that instrumental would be the way to go.
Right, right. I was going to ask about the instrumental. It's not so much an odd choice nowadays, I suppose. There's plenty of bands that are instrumental, but have you ever been tempted to add lyrics or go down that route?
Yes, definitely. Actually, in the beginning of the band, we auditioned several vocalists, and just none of them really worked out. And we're actually looking at doing some vocals and like things like that ourselves, possibly on this next album.
Right, that's exciting. Do you feel like it kind of holds you back when it comes to getting recognition or getting ahead as opposed to a band with vocals?
I think it can. I mean, a lot of people like latch onto vocals as a focal point in music. But we found that at least like from our live shows and people listening, like they're able to sort of get on board and like do enjoy it. But it's been a hurdle, especially getting into like certain festivals and events like that.
True, true. You guys, you mentioned an album. You're recording your first album. First off, the obvious question is, why so long to make your first album?
I don't know, Remo.
Actually, that is a very difficult question. I don't even think we actually have an answer to that. I think it just kind of fell through the cracks really because we did like an EP recording, and we just went with that. But I don't know, it's just never happened really.
Yeah, it's also been a thing that the band, like we've been like on and off throughout the last 10 years. And just sort of every time we've been ready to record or busy writing, then just like life gets in the way sometimes. So we just haven't had an opportunity. And like finally everything has come together and just it's working out for us now.
Right, right. I'm glad to hear it. What can we expect from it? Give us a taste.
Oh, so it's a bunch of songs we've written over the last probably 7 or 8 years. Um, Probably our shortest song on the album is going to be over 5 minutes. Our longest one's probably close to 15. It's like all good proggy stuff is. Um, and yeah, just a complete journey from very like soothing, atmospheric parts to just like no holds barred, no bars, just balls to the wall, epic stuff.
I like it. I like it. What stage are you guys at with it? Have you started recording?
We're probably going to start around September. So we've just finished all the pre-production. There's maybe a few niggles here and there, but yeah, we're pretty much ready to record. So it's probably after the Caligula's horse show that we're going to start the recording process.
Geez, you're going to be busy for the rest of the year. So, what way do you guys approach recording then? Do you approach it kind of in the live sense? You're all in there recording together, or do you break it up?
We're gonna see just like song by song. Like some of them definitely lend themselves to a live recording setting of just like a band in a room. But some parts are just a bit more technical and sort of need to be put together a bit like a jigsaw. So that's really song dependent.
Right, right. Well, I, for one, am looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Now,
Thank you.
it's called Concerts That Made Us, so we have to chat about some concerts, I'm afraid. I'll start you off easy. As a concert goer, what concerts do you think have made you?
Sure, there's actually plenty. Obviously, when you get to see some of the local acts, that's always a bit inspiring because then you can kind of see where your fellow musos are. But for me, if I'm thinking about the concerts that really stick out, especially with international artists, In Flames did a gig around quite a while ago. That was awesome to see. Lamb of God was also really, really good. And then for me, even though their music is a little bit outside of what I usually listen to, Rammstein was probably the most visually exciting show that I've ever seen, actually.
I like it. I like it. I seen Rammstein myself there back in June, I think it was, and I was just blown away. Like you said, visually, they pull out all the stops.
100%.
Yeah. For me, there was actually back in 2014, there was an event organized by Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater called Progressive Nation at Sea, which was basically just a cruise with like the just everyone in the progressive rock and metal scene. And that was just mind blowing. It was like 6 stages on a cruise ship, just like too many bands to mention, just like all the top guys in that field.
That sounds like heaven. I'm always
Yeah.
fascinated by those music cruises. What are they really like? Is it literally like, as you'd imagine, concerts 24/7?
Pretty much. It's more from like the afternoon to the evening. So you've got your morning and like mid-afternoon, lunchtime to just be a cruise guest, and you're on the boat, you're like in the Bahamas and you're just having a cruise. And then yeah, like sun starts going down and the music starts, and there's just like a normal music festival.
Right, right. Have to ask before we move on. Is there like rock stars just walking around mingling with the guests?
Yeah, completely. Like I've yeah, like shared like boat rides with like some people, and just like watching a band and like there's Mike Portnoy next to you, or um yeah, it's crazy like that. I did a whiskey tasting with Haken.
Right. That is crazy. I have to
Yeah,
get on one of those cruises.
yeah.
Now, growing up, how do you think your local music scene influenced your future sound?
Hmm, I wouldn't know actually, to be brutally honest with you. I think it was just more of a case of we just wanted to, I don't know, I speak for myself here, but I just wanted to just play what I wanted to play. And I don't know if the local music scene actually influenced me in that regard, because at the time when we started, there weren't really that many so-called proggy bands, quote unquote, around. So I don't know, maybe that was an influence, maybe it wasn't an influence, but that's certainly, I was just playing from the heart really more than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. Like when we first started, like we were making music that was very different from anything else that was around. Um, but yeah, I think we were all into just like the heavier styles of music, like hard rocks and metal. Um, and that probably like led us towards like that style of music. But the stuff we were playing is definitely probably more influence from like overseas acts.
Definitely.
I get you. I get you. When you think of other acts in South Africa, you guys, you seem pretty unique. Is there another band, or is there other bands that you would consider your main competition?
I wouldn't go to competition, but there's definitely like a little group of like sort of similar styled instrumental post rock and progressive style bands. There's a band called Savage Lucy, who's just like phenomenal. Koi, Oh God. There's an older band actually called Albino Beach that was going from early 2000s, and they sort of like paved the way for this style of music. And they're unfortunately not going anymore, but yeah, it was like there's like a nice little clique of us that it's not a big scene, but it's a very dedicated like following, and yeah, it's quite nice seeing people coming out for yeah, just weirder music.
Right, right. Now, for any listeners that haven't been lucky enough to catch one of your shows, what are they like? Give us the full experience if you can.
Sure, sometimes we don't even know. It's a roller coaster. It's yeah, just ups and downs. It's a very like sort of you get yourself lost in the music and you just sort of let it take you along because without any words or lyrics or singing to guide you along, you kind of have to like find your own flow in the music. And with it being so just like different in terms of song to song, and even within the same song, things can go from yeah, very, very peaceful and serene to sort of chaotic and discordant. Like it's yeah, it's all about the journey.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about playing this style of music is that when we're writing it, we ourselves go on our own little journey. So when we're presenting it to the audience, it's kind of like, here, come take your own journey with us and see what conjures up in your mind when you listen to this music.
Really interesting way of putting it, actually. I like that. And when you think of all the gigs you've played over your entire career, is there one that sits above the rest? You know, it couldn't have got any better.
That's a very tricky question. I can't actually iron out a specific one, purely because of the fact that I don't know. I always like to go try and make it as I wouldn't want to say perfect, but as close to it as I possibly can. So for me, I always try to bring the best out of what I could possibly bring. So I can't really think of any specific show that stands out. Danny?
Honestly, like some of like the latest shows, like feels probably like we did a show in February that felt really good. I think just like the band is in such a great space at the moment with the recordings all coming together and just everyone like really passionate right now. Like I think just yeah, the last two shows, like we did one in February and one last year October, and those have been yeah fantastic.
Gee, those were really good shows.
Right, right. If we take that question and flip it around, is there a gig you would consider the worst? Everything fell apart, and how did you guys overcome it?
Remo can maybe answer that one.
There was this one gig we played in a little place in Four Ways the one time, and well, that was a pretty terrible show. I had a couple of mishaps with my gear. One stage, I was holding my snare stand with my knees while I was still trying to play my bass pedal as well, and even the sound was a little bit iffy. But I mean, you always get these types of shows. I mean, we once played a show in Pretoria where the drum rise was literally pallets stacked on top of one another. And so the drum kit was falling into the pallets and I was trying to pull it out at the same times. But I think that show in Four Ways was probably the worst of the two because it's fighting the stage is one thing, but fighting your own gear at the same time, that's a whole kettle of fish.
Yeah, that's a talent in and of itself. And when you think of your fans and the audience, is there any memorable interactions you guys have had that kind of stick with you to this day?
I wouldn't say there's a specific one, but generally speaking, if we're busy playing and I look out onto the crowd and I just see them all just mellowing out or all just enjoying the music, that to me is the most important thing. If we can, when we accomplish that and we do, that to me is it. I don't know. It makes my heart sing.
Yeah, we've had some gigs where people come up and they're like, I've had this horrible week, and yeah, just listening to your music really helped me get through it and deal with it. Like seen people crying in the audience before. Like I think the music lends itself as a platform to sort of explore oneself and just like let themselves get lost and just be present in the moment.
True, true. When it comes to showtime, then how do you guys psych yourselves up, and then afterwards, how do you wind down?
What I like to do when we're busy setting up a show, I generally try to isolate myself almost, just try and just get that headspace going, get into a kind of a zone. And I generally do that by setting up my kit by myself and just mellowing myself out before the show. Because I don't really try to psych myself up, more get myself onto the right frame of mind. And afterwards, pretty much the same thing. I'll go and I'll put myself in a corner, pack everything up, and just let it all wash over me. And just because sometimes things are happening and then you don't really get the time in the moment to appreciate them, but afterwards when you sit there and you're busy packing up your gear, because then I'm actually no longer in the physical, so to speak. I'm actually sitting in my mind and I'm just busy replaying events, or in the beginning before the show I'm also just sitting in my mind and just picturing what it could be like and just running through some of the things in my head that I might have to focus on during the gig as well.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. And Danny, what about you? How do you psych yourself up and then wind down?
Yeah, the psyching myself up is also just sort of like find a space just to sort of just reflect and sort of get into a sort of zone just so you're ready. We'll quite often just like also like sit with some of the other guys and just yeah, sort of just like chat and just like get away from everyone else in the venue. Winding down is always a tricky bit because like you're always like so hyped up and adrenaline's running, so it like often takes quite a while. So it's often just sort of go sit somewhere and just like breathe and just relax a little bit.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I often hear bands say they have a roadmap for their career. So, say 5 years' time, what will New Earth look like?
It's very tricky to say. Like, we've all got like different directions in our personal lives and everything, but like we're all committed to the band. We're looking at maybe reaching out to more international markets, start maybe doing some tours in different places. Like we're already starting to think about maybe Australia and then maybe Europe. So yeah, we've got some plans, but like nothing too direct for now. We're sort of like all focused in on the album at the moment, and then after that, we're gonna maybe explore some more things.
Right. I like it. I like it. Now, future plans that are set in stone. Before we get on to the last couple of questions, anything you can share? You've told us about the album. Is there any more gigs or anything else for the rest of the year?
Yes, there'll be a couple of gigs. We playing. I actually host events myself as well, and I'm getting a couple of bands up from another city, Cape Town, in end of September, and going to play that. Yeah, a bunch of other instrumental bands like some of those guys that I mentioned earlier. And then November, we're looking at going down to Cape Town with those same acts and doing a little tour down at the coast.
Nice, nice. I like it. I like it. Right, the last couple of questions. So these are a few random fun ones. I'm looking forward to hearing your answers. First off, besides the band and music, what are you currently obsessed with?
Hmm. I guess work, only because of the demanding nature of it. Because I work 12-hour shifts, so there isn't really much else to focus on. But yeah, really, it's actually just music and work, really.
I do 12-hour shifts myself. They are a killer. I know exactly what you mean. And Danny?
For me, like music is sort of my obsession. Like I play in probably like six other bands besides New Earth. I'm a sound engineer, so I record bands and do all of that and like do live sound. So it's sort of music is that obsession, and yeah, just not much time to see anything else.
Right, right. Talk about spreading yourself thin. Six other bands. How do you split the time amongst them?
Uh, you just give up your free time. It's because it's my hobby, it's my career, it's what I do. So yeah, and just make it work.
Okay, okay. Now the next one, it's an odd one. If you had to spend 24 hours locked in a room with any musician from history, who would it be?
Trying to think about that one. Because it'll obviously be a drummer for sure. But the big question is, do I go for an older drummer, one before us, or I don't know. I think someone like Dave Weckl would actually be quite good to talk to because he's such a prolific session musician as well. I mean, the guy's played with Madonna, all sorts of artists around history, and I think that would be quite cool. Yeah, Dave Weckl.
Be very interesting.
Um, but actually maybe be Paul McCartney, strangely. Just like his approach to songwriting and music is just it's been influential to so many people throughout history, and it'd be just great to sort of pick his brain and get to know how he views music and how he approaches things.
Very true. Very true. I think he's the ultimate, isn't it? There's nobody else you could pick over him. Like,
Yeah.
hmm. And the final one. What's your go-to album? An album you constantly revisit.
Cool. Remo?
That's also a very, very tricky one. I would probably say porcupine trees. No, no, no. I can't actually, because I listen to so many all the time. It's always some kind of concept album type of thing. Honestly, the Dream Theater album, 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, is one that I've probably listened to the most because it's also got that well-written dances around between styles and just very, very well and thoroughly written.
I like it. Good one. And Danny, what about you?
Cool. Mine's probably a bit of a deep cut by an artist called Blackfield, which is one of Stephen Wilson from Porcupine Tree's side projects. Just the first album that they released is just something I keep going back to. It's very melancholic and just chilled out. But just every time I listen to it, like I just end up getting sucked in.
Nice, nice. I'll have to check it out. Listen, guys, thanks a million. Now this was an absolute blast.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's been
thank you. It
awesome.
was good.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. And if you're interested in signing up to Band Builder Academy, use the link in the show notes below and enter the code CONCERTS and you'll receive 10% off. So, until next time, keep rocking.
Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show's over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here. Bye.